this works. All right. Hello, my name is Joey Pavlik. I'm the transportation planner at the Alamo area MPO. And today we'll be talking about our bike data crowdsourcing map. And I have Jeff Moore with me. Jeff, would you like to introduce yourself? A little about yourself and why you're here today.
Thanks. My name is Jeff Moore. I'm the coordinator of SATX Social Ride. That's pre-COVID times, a weekly ride in the downtown area of San Antonio, averages around 250 riders, depending on the weather. It's a ride for the people, by the people. It's very much a casual pace social ride. And we definitely use a lot of, infrastructure information, intelligence to create our routes, to make them as safely and as accessible as possible for the general public. So everything that you're doing right here feeds directly into what we do, helps us out a lot.
Also, I have to say, I know that a lot of people do join you all who are experienced riders, also beginners. I know when I first went for a ride with you all, I guess it was last year around Fiesta, and it was great because I consider myself an experienced rider, but that day had some issues with my old bike and had a lot of flats on the way, and a couple of your ride marshals helped me out to make sure that they stayed with me and made sure I was well taken care of. So that was great to see, especially someone who considers themselves experienced. I know you take care of people who are experienced, but also beginners to help them get acclimated into bicycling culture, Antonio. So that's all to see you guys on that.
Guys and gals, actually. Our idea is always to encourage people to, ride their bike and give them, a sense of support. We're there to help them out mechanically. If they can't continue the ride, we get a ride for them. We definitely don't leave them behind. So there's always that effort and encouragement there to get riders out.
Great. So going back a little bit, how did this get started? Did you start it one day with some friends, or how long has this been in existence? Was there a need for this? And how did this get started here in San Antonio?
It's a long story there somewhere, but the short story of it. I was riding a long time ago. I guess I moved kind of in the downtown area around the year 2000, and I was riding with Bike World on Thursday night. They had a really well organized group that would go from their Alamo Heights location downtown and back up Broadway. It was a lot of fun, but that wasn't enough. Around 2009, I got a crazy idea to throw my television away, and it got really boring. And so just with a group of friends, we started riding from my house here in Almost Park Terrace, and they would tell their friends. And before, I knew it was 20 or 30 people. So we took that, the meeting point down to the Pearl, and the Pearl was empty at that time, 2010, 11. We were the only ones there. And the group grew by word of mouth and by people seeing us. So we would just tell them when we meet and things like that. And then 2012 or so, 2011, we put it on social media. It was called the Tuesday Night Bike Club at that time. And then on social media, it really grew kind of virally. And then around 2012 or so, we changed the name to SATX Social Ride. The idea there was to make it kind of a broader, thinking that we might have multiple rides during different weeks, different nights of the week, but that never really panned out. And it was fine because the group got big enough to where it was almost too much for just one night a week. So we've been doing it pretty regularly every Tuesday night since 2012, 13, unless the weather's bad.
Awesome. And I mean, you're quite a convoy rolling out. So you talked about how y'all have grown a lot. And I mean, I know right now, COVID, the pandemic, I know things are on hold right now for large group rides, but prior to the pandemic, about how many riders did y'all see on a weekly basis, or about how many did y'all see on a yearly basis before the pandemic?
So that we average yearly, I would keep records weekly, how many people showed up. We'd have marshals that would give a little count. And then we'd track the rides either on Map My Riders Travel. So we knew how far, things like that. And it averages out to about 44, 45 rides a year. The bad weather takes away some of the Tuesday nights. And our Our big years probably were 2018 was a lot more riders. And I think that's because there wasn't as many rides around as there was in 2019 and beginning 2020. It's around 200, 220, 230 average. A big ride, if the weather's right, if the Spurs aren't playing in a playoff series and a beautiful night, it could get over 300 easily. I think our largest ride was over 350. It's hard to get an accurate count when it gets that big. And also because of the nature of how we do our ride, we stop at lights and we have marshals, that stop the group. So after a couple major intersections like that, our group is spread out more than a mile and it's 5 minutes from front to back. So it takes a lot to count all those people.
Yeah, so it's an incredible amount of people, and I think it's true to SATX Social Ride's creation and leadership, and how you all do try to respectfully follow the law, and especially stopping at lights and leaving nobody behind. So it's really incredible to see it happen, and try to go to more rides throughout the year, especially when pandemic is over. But it's incredible, the amount of work y'all take in to make sure it's safe for everybody too. So kudos to you on that as well.
It's a kudos to the team. It's a big team effort. A lot of, the marshals, there's some marshals that are just there to help the route along the way and the directions. And there's 2 or 3 or 4 guys in the back with their own toolkits that are really passionate about helping people mechanically, with their bikes, making sure they don't get left behind. So, and we have a communication system from front to back. We always kind of lead the ride with the back of the group in mind. So it's definitely a team effort. It's like a little military organization. It's a tactical operation, usually exercise.
You've got the logistics down. You've got everything down there. So moving on to talking about tools and talking about a different type of tool here. One thing we want to kind of focus on today is infrastructure and data. So in terms of planning your routes, I know you mentioned using Strava to track your rides, but what kind of resources do you use to maybe plan out your routes? Do you look at current bike data that's on the internet? Or what do you use to plan your routes, or what kind of resources do you use to help you all stay safe and plan a great?
Yeah, so I'm lucky that my background, my day job is using GIS data, city data from the past 20 years, looking at infrastructure. For me, it's usually fire and emergency management concerns, but that also is road type, traffic data, demographics, all sorts of things. So having any type of data that's helpful to us and that serves our purpose is imperative. And when I'm planning a weekend route for a small group, people from out of town, or even if we do some of our own little specialized historic rides, we do need to know where there's a rest stop for sure. We need to know where there's drinking water. And it's really a good idea if we know where the mechanic bike stands are. And ourselves, I tried a small amateur crowdsourcing experiment a couple months ago. I tried to get our riders to post pics of their bikes on the bike stands, the mechanical bike stands, so that we could get an idea of where they're all at. And we got a bunch of people posting the picture of the bike stand down by Brackenridge High School. There's one at the Pearl. So we got multiple pics of a few of them right in the downtown area, but we didn't get a lot of them. So we didn't work hard enough on getting enough people to crowdsource that information. But we do recognize that is a potential tool to be a game changer in gathering information over a wide area in a relatively short period of time. So I don't know if that answers your question, but all the data that's out there available helps us, in our route planning.
No, yeah, I think that's a great point, especially, looking at, because we look at things such as, bike lanes, protected bike lanes, because, we're looking at bike infrastructure, talking about experienced users, beginner cyclists. It's important to look at through a lens of all ages and abilities, because again, where is this infrastructure at? But also, where, like you mentioned, water and repair facilities. We're in South Texas, and somebody's riding in the middle of the summer, 100-degree heat, and they realize they don't have enough water with them, and they need to refill their bottle, or something in that case, and they get a flat. So how are they going to get back home? And I think you made a good point, because Yes, we need to know where bike lanes are at, but also repair facilities, bike racks, water, such things like public facilities. So, uh, and my next question was asking about the importance of that updated infrastructure data. So I think you kind of answered that, but I mean, if you want to tag on any more about the importance of this, and in your own experience of SATX Social Ride, if there's any particular experiences you've seen or experienced yourself.
Yeah, well, especially so my daytime job background is all about updating GIS information. Updating the integrity of that data on a yearly basis is important for us in the city. And we're lucky because we're under a DHS grant, so we have a lot more resources than other city agencies that are stressed. They're kind of downsizing. They've been reorganized, and so a lot of city agencies haven't been able to keep up with the data update needs that really should be happening. So I understand. I'm probably jumping ahead of the question here, but I understand the need to crowdsource data to try to get updated, up to the minute data across a wide area. That it's imperative to the operations of the city, not just for the MPO, but city agents as well. Vision Zero, all of the non-governmental agencies, the charity groups that are working on some sort of bike initiatives. This touches a lot of different organizations and a lot of different missions.
Definitely, and I think you mentioned it. A great point in that, because especially as the MPO, like you mentioned, a lot of data from your crowdsourcing effort came from downtown, but as an MPO, those familiar, it's Metropolitan Planning Agency, and we're a regional transportation planning agency. And so we have a regional perspective. So that includes Bexar County, Guadalupe, and a portion of Kendall County. So it includes, cities such as San Antonio, Bernie, New Braunfels, Seguin, and many other communities in between. And so, I mean, role, especially, wherever you're going at on a bike. And so you brought up the crowdsourcing part. So jumping ahead to the next part here, talking about our crowdsourcing map. So part of the reason why we're doing this, I'll take people to the website shortly. But as you mentioned, sometimes we need to look to our users of the infrastructure to let us know where we're at. Is there a bike lane on the map, but is it not present? Or, was there something going on here where it may not be visible as a bike lane? Or are there facilities like bike racks, repair stands, water facilities? And so I think that's important to look at all those different aspects. And as our MPO, we're in the middle of a call for projects right now for agencies such as the City of San Antonio, Bexar County, TxDOT, and many other partner agencies in our area to request funding for their projects. And as we prepare for that, we want to make sure that all of our data is up to date so we can, help score projects. And also, do other things such as maybe updating our bike maps some more. So that's a little overview on why we're doing this. I'm going to take folks to our website real quick. So we'll have some more information on our Facebook. When we post this video, we'll have the link to this. And I want to take folks to our website. I'm going to share my screen real quick. All right, Jeff, how's it look on your end? Does that show a map right here?
It does. I see it.
All right, so actually I'm going to jump over to this other page. So do you see a Get Moving webpage?
I do.
Perfect. So this is our Get Moving bike data collection website. And we might upload a few updates to this to get some more information. But as I mentioned before, this is a crowdsourcing effort to let us know where there might be some areas that we need to update our maps. So, bike facilities, public water facilities where you get some water, refill your bottle, or repair stands, situations like that. So we have a little explanation of this right here, talking about why we want to hear from you. A button to open up this crowdsourcing application, examples of different infrastructure in our area. So different things like a conventional bike lane, it's a striped bike lane, and gives you a place on the road to ride. A two-way protected bike lane. We may have some others in our area, but this is an example of a protected bike lane. Buffer bike lane where there's pavement markings that show a buffer between you and cars next to you. Shared side path. This is where a sidewalk is wide enough to accommodate cyclists and pedestrians. Shared lane markings and bike route signage. So each of them show a different level of comfort for cyclists, and from experienced to beginners. And we want to again also update this with some pictures of water fountains and bike repair stands. And there's also a map right here of current infrastructure that the MPO has.
Cool.
And so again, it shows an outline of where our MPO is. So now we'll go to the application. And here you can drop in a place where you know that there's a bike lane, for instance. So we'll scroll in, say, let's go to Southtown or something, or let's say, okay, so we're over here by Blue Star Arts Complex, and let's say there's a bike repair stand over here. So we would click right here. Actually, oops, wait 1 second. I refresh here. Okay, so you're going to click over here on the green button right here to submit your data. And I'm going to, click the green button first, and we're going to zoom in over here and use that to toggle around. Zoom in a little further. Again, say if there's a bike repair facility over here. Actually, okay, let me go back. I know there's one definitely over by Breckenridge High School. So we're going to
cross the river.
Drop a pin by Breckenridge High School, where the San Antonio River Trail, the Mission Reach Trail crosses the river. By Breckenridge High School across from the apartments over here. We'll drop a point, and we'll go over here and log a description. So say bike repair facility. And I'll say location description. I'll just say eastern side of SA River by Breckenridge High School, HS for that. And accommodation type. So I'll go to this drop down right here, bicycle maintenance station, and you can log any other information about it. So you can maybe say what type of tools are on there. And you can specify the location right here. I did use this point or my cursor to drop a point. You can also use this information to search. You can also browse attachments. So you can also use this application in the field. You can take a picture with your phone, or you can upload too. So you see some pictures of pitch shots of myself right here. But you can also upload a picture. You can upload a picture of the facility where it's at.
Yeah.
So, and you'll go over here and click report it. And that will give us information about where it's at. And so it should show up.
That's straightforward and very intuitive. I think it's easy to follow.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm wondering if my connection's running a little slow here, or did it record? Click submit. But that is a way that you would submit that data. And it looks like my connection is buffering here. But I'm going to go ahead and turn off my share screen. And we'll post some more information about this later. So hopefully that's straightforward enough. This website can also be accessed via mobile phone. It's on the actual application app on from your phone's app store, but you can use it on your web browser, so you don't have to download another app. And you can point and shoot and take a picture of it, or you can upload. So hopefully that's straightforward enough, and gives people an idea of how to use it, and helps us update our data to help us plan better for the future for infrastructure and more. So Jeff, do you have any questions about that?
No, that looks really straightforward. Like I said, it's intuitive. It's a good user interface. What first comes to my mind is rolling this out, which I'm sure that's your plan right now, to as many riders as you can, getting it across town, and getting people used to using it. Maybe even having some dedicated rides, organizing some rides through different groups, and have people that can go out together, socially distanced properly and safely, but gather data, maybe in one part of town at a time, or just send it out to a lot of people that during their regular riding, they can pick up information. I think it should be done both ways.
Definitely. And yeah, so this is great feedback on how to get this completed, because sometimes, I'm sure working for a public agency, it's hard to sometimes get good feedback on this. So what kind of incentives are there? What kind of incentives to get people together and bring this back in? So we'll definitely be looking into those options. And so before we close, Jeff, do you have any updates from SATX Social Ride? Maybe when the next ride will be? I think for a lot of people are wondering when the next ride will be, even though we were in the middle of a pandemic.
We're in the middle of a really bad time in the pandemic. So a couple things that determine that. The state has a moratorium on banning large gatherings, large outdoor gatherings even. And our ride would be a large outdoor gathering. It'd be a couple hundred people. It's not healthy to do that, even, especially before the ride and after the ride. Everybody's be happy to see each other and they want to hug each other and get close. So that's one thing, is the state has a ban on outdoor gathering. The other thing is looking at the local positivity rate in the cases. They definitely have to fall down, below 5%. I don't know what they're at now, but it's double digits, I believe. So, the spread of COVID is just way too rapid and way too common in the local community. When those numbers go down, and when the city says it's safe to go down, when the state says it's safe to gather in semi-large numbers, as soon as that's possible, we'll have the ride back up and running, bigger and better. And we're going to put a lot more thought into it, maybe change some of the ways we do things. But as soon as possible, we'll get right back to it, as soon as safely possible.
Awesome. Yeah, I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. I know SATX Social Ride has been very active on this Facebook group in terms of posting information about local transportation events happening, things to reflect on from a national perspective or international perspective, or different events, initiatives going on. So, it's really great to see that interaction, people posting their rides, their bikes, where they're at, where they're riding. So that's been cool to see, even though there haven't been rides going on. So it's cool to see that in a virtual format, at least. And so before we close, I'll just say we'll be collecting this data for at least a couple months or so. We want to make sure we give our staff enough time to go through this data once this is completed. So we have this completed and ready before our call for projects ends April 1st, 2021. And once we get ready for project scoring to see which projects will be selected. So we'll have that ready. We'll have this data to go off of. And then later on, we'll also have public comments later on in terms of, or public feedback in terms of which projects should be looked at to be chosen for funding. And other things, talking about bike safety, we'll be kicking off our bike safety classes, street skills classes soon on.
Okay.
Those usually have more than 10 people in a setting. Those will be virtual, and we'll be coordinating. We'll be coordinating those online, of course. People can pick up their free helmets and lights at our office at designated times once they register. So we're figuring out logistics and figuring out a few other things, but they'll be kicking those off, make sure people will feel safer on the roads and on the trails, and have a new bicycle helmet and light set. So those are a few updates from us as well. And so Jeff, do you have any other comments to close with before we go?
No, really, but I'm very excited about the safety classes coming back. In the last this last 9 months or so during quarantine, a lot of new riders are out on the streets that have never been riding before, and I think there's a huge opportunity. There's a huge need for safety classes right now, more than ever. So I'm glad to see that you guys are putting that back, especially online.
definitely, hopefully, maybe we can reach some more people that we were not able to reach before, because these classes were in person only. So it'd be interesting to see who we can reach.
Yeah, we'll do everything we can to push that out and promote it from our side for sure.
Great. And I guess one more thing before we close, I remember there's one thing in my background that I can use as a point to talk about here is the some bike racks over here on the Mission Reach of the San Antonio River over by the Big Tex Apartments. I believe that's the name. So, we're looking for things like this too. Take a picture of, let's see if I can move over. These bike racks right here. Great bike racks to park your bike. You can lock your bike up at a couple of points, which are important to make sure nobody takes your bike later on. So we want to see information like that as well. So bike racks, repair stands, bike lanes, wide we may have missed. So looking forward to all that information and provide great pictures like this too. So look forward to seeing that and look forward to your participation, and we always appreciate help from great partners like Jeff and SATX Social Ride, and hope to get everybody's feedback in the coming months.
For sure.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Joey.